Hello there, my name is Wikianar, and welcome back for another tier list. So I'm dumb. I don't know why I do this, how I do this. I feel like if I were a professional YouTuber, I'd probably not do this as much, or I'd do it even more, who knows. But I started recording and my microphone was muted. I was like 15 minutes in, and as you can see, 5 beasts in. And if you couldn't guess, this one is Cryptids. So I'll just give you a quick run through of the qualifications. Are believability, that it can have evolved from something. Does it exist without explanation? Hiding ability, and that'll make a little bit more sense. And then overall appearance, and then sometimes the coolness of its backstory can also be a thing. So I'm gonna run you through these first couple. So these first 3 are in A are all lake monsters. The alkali lake monster of Walgren Lake, Nebraska. The Bear Lake monster of Bear Lake, that's in Utah and Idaho. And Big Wally, which is in Wallowa Lake, Oregon. All of them, to me, they're very the way most of these are described. So the first 2, the Alkali Lake monster and the Bear Lake monster, to me were a little bit the Alkali Lake monster was a little bit more interesting to me, because for some reason it is described as every appearance it has, it's got this strange axolotl appearance to it, rather than what all the rest of them normally take on, which is that sort of, I describe most lake monsters and whatnot that we see either take on like the plesiosaur appearance or like worm type dragons. If you don't know what that is, WYRM, worm. But that one was a little bit, it stood out a little bit, and it's believable. The Bear Lake one, to me, just seemed kind of like possible mutated alligator. Pretty simple. And then Big Wally it fit along that sort of plesiosaur line. The guy we have here down in D is the Bray Road Beast, which is described as a sort of wolf-like creature in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. There's wolves in Wisconsin. I think if you get a bad picture of a wolf or something like that, it's believable, but it's not as believable. And then the first one we have down there in E is Bunnyman. Bunnyman is actually, for some reason, counted as a cryptid, even though it is more of the story is that he's a serial killer dressed up in a bunny costume, that in 1970, Fairfax County, Virginia, which then spread through DC and Maryland, was this string of, he dressed up as a bunny and murdered people with a hatchet. To me, it doesn't fall under any form of cryptid, because it's a guy, it's a human, so therefore it can't be a cryptid. It's just an insane person. It's just a psycho that, in the 70s there were a lot of like really weird serial killers in the 70s. So if you don't believe me, look it up. That is where a lot of the serial killers that were making documentaries and whatnot, or even the what is it? I guess they're technically biopics about today and whatnot, or historical dramas. They're from the 70s. The 70s was a screwed up time. But it was just it's a guy. I don't know, the list that I have. I mean, trust me, there's another one on here as well. There's a bunch of them that you're just like, what? So going back into it, the next one that we had that I was discussing when I realized that I was stupid, was the devil monkey. So the devil monkey is known throughout Canada and upper states of the U.S., known as a baboon-type creature, standing 4 to 5 feet tall and like very aggressive. That's why they're devil monkeys. To me, it was, yes, you can fall under that sort of cousin to Sasquatch, but we don't have monkeys. We don't really naturally have monkeys in any northern part of the United States. So it's a little bit harder to believe. So I think I didn't give him a spot yet, but you know what? I'll give it a C. Yeah, I think that's where I was putting it, was in C. Due to the fact that it was like we have those reports of the ape-like creatures in the northern United States and Canada are Sasquatch. Let's see. So next one, we have another lake monster, which is the Flathead Lake Monster, in also known as Flossie in Flathead Lake, Montana. This thing absolutely looks like a freaking dinosaur. I've been doing this for all of, at least most of the lake monsters. I like looking up the okay, so 129 years of Flathead Lake monster sightings. A creature 30 to 40 feet long. See, my biggest thing is how big is the Flathead Lake? So that 197 miles squared. So okay. I can believe it, especially because of the size that they're saying. And my thing is always whether or not these lakes have underwater caverns to them, that these creatures can go and hide in and like live in. And I was talking about the longevity of some of these creatures, due to like just creatures that we have today. Like our Bear Lake monster, the picture I chose was a bad one because it seems to be more resembling an alligator type creature, a larger alligator type creature. And alligators, crocodiles, they're known as modern day dinosaurs for a reason. They're huge, they're scary, they like, if you think of a dinosaur, even with that, we talked about it last time with that whole newer discovery of dinosaurs possibly being, a lot of them being covered in feathers rather than, I mean, a lot of the aquatic ones wouldn't be. Why would they? So they could be believable as, you know, these giant sort of creatures that do things. But my question is always if either they're just really smart or they have a certain sense of time of day, that these creatures, if they exist or if they did exist, they would only go out during certain times of day, certain times of year and whatnot, especially because of fishermen. I know a lot of these are not commercially fished lakes. They can't be, because if they were, then they would absolutely have found them by now. But there's also just like the possibility of a mutated fish. Happens all the time. I think I have to put the Flathead Lake Monster up there with the others. I'm not gonna give it. I was giving all of the lake monsters S tier last time. I'm trying to save that for especially creepy, like good ones. Okay, this one has always confused me. So this one has been one that I've seen on lots of different things, and that is the Flatwoods Monster in West Virginia. So the Flatwoods Monster, it kind of baffles me because it puts me back in that position of possible alien type thing. Creature reported to have been sighted in the town of Flatwoods in Braxton County, West Virginia, United States, in 1952 after a bright light crossed the night sky. So, it is one of those. This creature is it naturally occurring? Did it exist on this planet? Absolutely not. I would put it down there with, we had several other creatures that to me were very alien-esque. So the Fresno Nightcrawlers and whatnot, to me were very much, this thing is an alien. It's not something that naturally, happened and then, stayed on Earth, and after, thousands of years and the way evolution works became this thing. No, this is like a visitor from another planet that either got trapped here, maybe died here, or got trapped or visited here, and then visited here for a little while, scared the hell out of some people, and then disappeared. Especially because for some reason the Flatwoods Monster is very much described as, if you look at this picture, that is undisputed what the Flatwoods Monster looks like to a lot of people, is this very, this creature with this, like, bulbous head thing, that does wear clothing. So that, to me, very much screams alien. It's an alien, so it's not a cryptid. It is not a thing that we hit in our definition that I created in the last one. It would not be a cryptid of this earth. It would be an alien. And aliens already just fall under undefined because we don't have as much proof of different types of aliens and whatnot. I fully believe aliens are real because, I mean, the vastness of the universe, there can't not be other intelligent life in the universe. If there wasn't, then how? But it just seems it's too close to that, or it was a person that got dressed up in the 50s and scared the hell out of some people. But more than likely, I would say alien type being. Hodag is from Wisconsin. This one even has a little bit more information about it. It looks very much like rarely seen, but blamed for often for missing sunglasses, lost keys, and helping the big one get away from anglers. What do we really know? So yeah, it's another lake-ish monster. I would call it closer to it's that possible crocodile alligator type thing. Hodag is a scratch golfer, and he never needs to buy golf balls either. He just collects the ones that are hit into the woods. I would like to believe some things like that. That would be an interesting thing to me, especially if we consider the creatures on our planet, and like the closest next to us being a Bigfoot type creature, undisputed, and finding their, like, wherever they live, like if you actually found proof and it's like, this is where this thing nests, this is where this thing lives, and seeing that it collected things over the years from, like, that camper's lost or whatnot, or maybe it snagged something from them. I think that would be a very cool thing to see. That would be a very, very interesting piece of lore to go along with them. But again, kind of like the Bear Lake monster, just seems to be, I mean, there are geese that'll come up to you and steal your freaking sunglasses. Seagulls steal crap from people all the time, so any other beast stealing stuff from you, okay, makes sense. And it just kind of falls under that same category of, it was the descendant of something, and maybe the Bear Lake monster and Hodag occasionally crawl towards each other and have that family reunion once every 20 years or something like that. So next up, who we got? Charlie, another lake monster. There are so many lake monsters in the entire world because of that whole thing of them being so undescribable, like hard to basically say no, that thing doesn't exist. So Charlie is from Idaho. I don't remember if there was an exact lake. Oh, okay, no. So it is a Ooh, okay, so yeah, so it's live in the deep alpine waters of Piatt Lake near McCall, Idaho. So Piatt Lake. 5,330 acres. Absolutely. You could have a freaking, you don't know everything that lives in those waters. So I would definitely say, in looking at the map of Piatt Lake, it's definitely one that's got a bunch of different random, it kind of looks like a hook, but it's got these random curves and whatnot in it, that I would definitely say something can live in there. There's little bits and pieces of land that, there's still land, in the U.S. that people don't own yet. And they haven't fully gone over. There are probably people that own so much land that they've not gone out to every single bit of land they own, so they don't know what bit of land they own. So sometimes there is just land that is owned that just exists. I mean, there's actually people that will buy pieces of land for one reason or another. Sometimes conservation, sometimes whatever. So this is the Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp. He is from Bishopville, South Carolina. A a lot of these were very much described as a sort of, you know, it is a lizard humanoid. It is that lives in the swamp. And you know what? Being that swamps are an interesting thing to me, because you very much have this is a very blurry, very blurry bit of that one's a little bit better, but there's a couple different pictures taken from like footage, extremely grainy footage that you're like, okay, that's nothing. You have very minimal to go on there. Someone did a thing of him versus the lizard man here versus the Loveland frog man. I mean, to me, swamps are an interesting place. I don't have too strong of a desire to be near them, which is interesting, because I mean, I actually do kind of want to go like see them. I would like to go see them in a couple of different reasons, because swamps eat up everything. Things disappear in the swamps. So it's hard to say. I would say I might put you at a B, but I feel like I need more hard evidence other than the 2 grainy photos that I can find at the current moment. But there's the possibility. I mean, that, or it's just some crazy redneck that put on a Godzilla costume. Who knows? Our next one is a little bit interesting. So in Ohio, there is 1,000,001 different cryptids. Melonheads being one of them, but melonheads are not just in Ohio. They're supposedly also in Michigan and Connecticut. One could almost describe me as a melonhead. But they kind of go back to that, I'm trying to remember some of the other ones that I've in the last one that I described of that. Okay, so Menehune in Hawaii, the little pygmy people. I mean, it's just the possibility of it being a oh yeah, even this one, it makes sense. So a possible legend of it being in Holland, Michigan, children with head enlarging disease, hydrocephalus, were locked away in an asylum but were released in the 70s. Now they are said to be feral and hide in the forests nearby. If you stand still in the area, you can supposedly hear feet running. See, that's what makes sense to me. It's that sort of thing of they were either... that happens all the time, that used to happen all that time, of creatures coming from legends of humans, basically. So melonheads are nothing more than a semi-mutated human that basically got dumped in the woods, and then if they were smart enough and continued to breed their line, or like continued their line, then yes, they would exist, and they might have existed at one point, but who knows if they would still exist. But I would say yes, there's the strong possibility, especially considering, what do you consider a big head? Think about it. What do you consider, think in your mind, what do you consider a big head? These are supposedly just, the legend being people born with a specific genetic disease that caused them to have enlarged, like, heads. I technically have a genetically large head. I will tell you this. So, I have what is known as, I'm gonna show you this. I have what is known as Chiari-1 malformation. And if you don't know what Chiari-1 malformation is, it is a, I'm just gonna, this is a picture of Chiari-1 malformation. So this bit below here, that's the cerebellum. And that is a normal cerebellum. That is a Chiari cerebellum. So it is basically when you were, like, in the womb, still being formed, your cerebellum grew too big. Here, I'll read the smart version. The condition in which brain tissue extends into the spinal canal, it occurs when part of the skull is misshapen or smaller than is typical. The skull presses on the brain and forces it downwards. So basically, my brain grew too big and pushed on the skull. So though it's not common, but I have type 1, which is, you know, kind of I guess the more, ooh. But yeah, that's literally a nice way to say you got a big head. It's actually a medical, it is a medical condition. I do have that. But there's the thing of back then when we didn't understand all medical conditions, and especially medical conditions that can, like, made people look different, happened sometimes, it happened occasionally, and those people would be shunned out of society. They would be, locked away, those sorts of things. So it happens. Or it did happen. Luckily, we don't really do that anymore. Okay, so no, I actually have very specifically in here for melonheads: Ohio, Michigan, Connecticut, Lake Memphremagog, Canada. So they're everywhere. They're not everywhere, but they're one of our more local ones. Memphre. We have another. Oh wait. Oh no. Okay, so. Okay, no. So Melonheads was just Ohio, Michigan, Connecticut. But Memphre. Yeah, Memphre is from Lake Memphremagog in the Canada and U.S. Why did I do that? I mistyped. That's fine. I do that all the time. I guess Memphre is just another one of our plesiosaur-looking. Can you give me the correct thing? Okay, Okay, so Lake Memphremagog, yeah. The Beast of Lake Memphremagog. I apparently got one of the nicer looking photos of it. But the terror of, like, I don't know why they call these things these sorts of names like this, because I mean it just doesn't, unless this thing is actually causing damage, then why does it seem to matter? What leave it can be studied, but leave it alone. Okay, so now actually maybe this one's more of a sea serpent. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, okay, it's on the Vermont and Quebec, so it is Canada, US. The third deepest lake in Vermont with a depth of 285 feet. That's deep. So of course anything could freaking, like, if it were, like, smart, it would just go to the bottom and lay down and nothing would bother it. I could believe a giant. I could still believe. I mean, there's giant snakes still. So what makes a giant sea serpent any less believable, or a sea serpent less believable? This is the next one on my list that I was a little bit confused as to why it was included in Cryptids. So this is Mercy Brown of Rhode Island. For some reason, she was called she has multiple names, mainly being called a vampire. I don't know if I would call. Oh, okay, so yeah, so it's called the Mercy Brown Vampire Incident, but this was back in 1892. I don't know why you would call that, you know, people are still will leave flowers, vampire teeth, and other offerings at her grave. I guess technically, would a vampire be a cryptid? Not really in my mind. I mean, they would be, to me, of course, vampires fall closer to paranormal than they do to cryptids. But then again, a lot of the whole vampirism stuff can be explained by genetic deformity. There was the whole them needing to drink blood is because they don't get the proper minerals that they need, like the rest of us, from standing in the sun. If you go outside and you stand in the sun, you are getting different minerals. But then, you know, there's those vampires are allergic to the sun. They can't go out into the sun or they'll burn up. And that's one of the reasons why they have to drink blood, is because it helps them maintain those minerals, helps them stay strong and, like, living. Okay, so, but it was very much a, villagers of Exeter, Rhode Island knew that Farmer George Brown had a problem. First, in 1883, his wife, Mary Brown, succumbed to a mysterious illness. 6 months later, his 20-year-old daughter, Mary Olive Brown, also fell ill and died. Within the next several years, his 19-year-old daughter, Mercy Brown, was also dead, and George's teenage son, Edwin Brown, a healthy lad who worked as a store clerk, became suddenly frail and sick. The village doctor informed George that consumption was taking his family, but the country folk of Exeter had another explanation. So basically, they believed that this woman... Okay, so... Oh, this is interesting, actually. Basically, they believed that... Okay, on a chilly March afternoon in 1892, a group of men entered Exeter's Chestnut Hill Cemetery. Then they began to exhume the bodies of George Brown's wife and 2 daughters. They had concluded that one of the deceased was leaving the grave at night to suck the life out of its relatives. Only by killing the vampire could young Edwin be saved. So basically, they believed that one of the family members was a vampire who was who kept killing off her family, and that person being Mercy, because when they dug her up, she wasn't as decomposed as her family members, even though she was the most recently dead. Mysterious wave of illness that swept George Brown's family was probably tuberculosis. Makes sense. They literally thought she was a vampire because she was the most recent one to die, and they dug her up and she was still semi-fresh. The mystery of people's the whole hair and fingernails and whatnot. If I remember right, I have to look it up. Yeah, they don't continue to grow after death, but they say that they did grow, and that when they poked her with a shovel, that fresh blood came out. It's not a cryptid. She's was a poor dead girl that they dug up and stabbed. Looks like a next. This is Miniwashitu. Miniwashitu is from North Dakota, very specifically on the Missouri River. Look at it. This poor thing. Miniwashitu. I mean, it's very, okay, it is always described as that, one-eyed thing, terrifying hairy beast that supposedly travels the Missouri River in central North Dakota. Not very described, so looks like the last time it was just seen was I don't know, to me this looks more like a Greek. He just looks like a sort of Greek monster from ye old legends. I can't think of anything that it would have, unless again it was that genetic deformity thing. It just doesn't seem. I mean, it probably tells a good story, but. Next up is the Minnesota Dogman. So again, another thing that kind of falls with the railroad beast, that sort of bipedal wolf-like creature feel like I kind of have to give it the same thing as the Railroad Beast, because it falls under very much the same categories. Let me see if they have any supposed pictures of the Minnesota Dog Man. Okay. Next up, we have the Oklahoma octopus, which is in Oklahoma Lake. Okay, I might have this wrong. Okay, yeah, no. So it is. This one is what kind of gets me. The Oklahoma octopus is a cryptid generally said to inhabit some freshwater, man-made lakes of Oklahoma, including Lake Thunderbird, Uloga Lake, and Lake Tenkiller, where it attacks and kills unsuspecting swimmers. There is no existing footage of it. So the thing is, what gets me is where they're saying it is. If it is a man-made lake, we should know what we have put in there. I mean, yes, an octopus, yes, they exist. They fully exist. But it being in a man-made lake and not being very well documented, no. And unless it being in multiple lakes at once, I'd have to look. I'm gonna check real quick. If these things are not connected, then how is it attacking in multiple lakes? Okay, so it does look like not what I wanted. It has, like, they have some streams coming off of them, but it wouldn't explain how those sorts of things work. I'm sorry, my friend. Even though they're cool, it's another one of, he kind of falls under this poor guy, where it's just you tell a good story, but you're hardly believable. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, I very specifically put in my notes man-made lakes, because it's just why would it be believable? Yep. Didn't realize how big this picture was. So this is a picture of the supposed Ozark Howler. The Ozark Howler, being the Ozark Howlers, being from the Ozark Mountains, which are in Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. I mean, they're saying that it's bear-like in shape. So one of the things that they're saying is, I mean, this is the first image that comes up of the supposed Ozark Howler, but then there's other descriptions that describe this thing as like bear-like in shape, so like being as big as a bear. But I could believe, yes, that in a sense of a creature this small. I mean, it kind of looks like a small dog, honestly. It kind of fits in with that jackalope-like territory where I talked about last time. And there are small creatures that, if it is known for it being a loud beast that, you know, creates such, like... Is it actually not? Also known as the Ozark Black Howler, the Hoo-Hoo, the Nightshade Bear, and the Devil Cat. Okay, yeah, no, a lot of these are very much describing it as like the size of a bear, but like it's got horns and whatnot, glowing red eyes and whatnot. But the cry is described as being a combination of a wolf's howl, an elk's bugle, and the laugh of a hyena. I mean, I could believe in a creature having, you know, a strange cry like that, and especially if it was a smaller one. There are plenty of creatures in this world that make strange noises, and they can be very loud. They can be incredibly loud. But I'm getting mixed signals on this poor, strange little fella. For that, I feel like you gotta go and B. Okay, oh, this is another one that is, the next one is also very much was listed as cryptids, but is very much was also in the aliens category. It's very much aliens. Is the Pascagoula Elephant Man. This was a, you know, thing that happened in the 70s, because like I said, 70s were weird. I was not alive in the 70s, and sometimes I am grateful. But this is very much how it's like the picture is very much how it's described. If I remember right, it had the same. Has the same. Okay, so two men claimed that they were abducted by aliens while fishing near the Pascagoula River, and that was their description of their abductors. Pale in color and wrinkled like an elephant. They had no eyes that they could discern of, and slits for mouths. To me, I would say, especially if the reporting is coming from two guys that supposedly got abducted, two guys out on the lake drinking beer could very easily come up with a story of how we got abducted by aliens. I would call it down here, especially down in Yeah, this was a very strange list. It's not done yet though. I've got a couple more. This is. I'm gonna screw up the name on this. I know I am. Shunka Warakain from the Rocky Mountains. So if I remember right, Shunka okay, let me just type it in here. Is okay, an animal in American folklore that resembles a large wolf. It's basically just, you know, its name means carries off dogs. So basically, it is a giant. I mean, it's. It already exists. It's a thing that already exists. It's a wolf, like coyote-like thing. So it already exists. It has existence, unless there is some sort of bigger version. You know. I mean, you look at the size of a wolf. Wolves are huge. Okay. Next up is one that is very highly debated, and that is skinwalkers. Skinwalkers, you know, they're all over, but very specifically, you know, cited in New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Colorado. But it's a very highly debated one, and I would say it's for cryptids. I don't know. I mean, it is one of those things that is very hard to describe. If I remember right, they like came from a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal, but it came from Navajo mythology. So I don't know. It being, you know, that sort of mythological, we have this person who can turn into an animal thing. I don't know. But there have been videos that I've seen sometimes of that are very unexplainable type things where you believe that this person is out in the forest by themselves. They're recording, and then they hear that's one of those things that falls under the sort of thing that the Wendigo fell under, was that whole, like, mimic human voices and whatnot. I don't know about these ones though. The skinwalkers are a little bit. They're so highly debated to me that I feel like I'm gonna give them a C tier because they're so. They seem. The definition seems like it's changed over time. Especially because of things like TikTok and whatnot. It feels like. This is the Slide Rock Bolter from Colorado. This is a very old one. The Slide Rock Bolter was described in, I want to say, the 1800s. Which is, I mean, it's so, okay, 19th and early 20th centuries. It's so very... Basically, what it was believed to do was it would use its tail to hook onto mountains and whatnot, and then when things came by, it would open that giant mouth that it has and let go and slide down and scoop them up. I mean, I can think of things that have that sort of, you know, that have things like that, you know, there's very specific things that hunt in very specific ways. Loads of animals have their, you know, very specific ways of hunting. But this just feels a little bit outlandish, almost. He feels a little bit outlandish, but considering that the one thing that kind of saves it is that whole, but the depictions of it always depict it as a very large creature, so it would be one of those things, you'd see it, okay, yeah, depicted as an enormous landfish weighing 2,500 pounds with fins, a hooked caudal fin, and three, I have no idea what that word is. but you know, it's... I'm not actually seeing any written, yes, haven't been any recent sightings of it as of 2018, but it just seems very... a little bit outlandish, maybe one of those things that people are telling, telling kids at night to be good or they'll get eaten by a bolter. This is the Tennessee wild man from McNairy County, Tennessee. If I remember not, the Tennessee wild man was actually... oh, okay, so, yeah, way back in, it seems to be very much the, he supposedly has either dark gray hair or dark ginger hair. It's about 7 feet tall and is always accompanied with piercing red eyes. It is known to spout out a disturbing war cry that can frighten anyone that hears it, and is a horrible smell that is reminiscent of the skunk ape, if you remember the skunk ape, to our last one. So the Tennessee wild man is actually, so it's, you know, very similar to a Sasquatch, but it's apparently much more human in appearance. So it's, I guess, a little bit further down the line, or it has alopecia or something. I could believe this, though. I mean, considering the, like I said, with our family of Sasquatches, and there just being Sasquatch legends all over America. So basically each state seems to have its own legend. Tessie. Tessie is another lake monster from Lake Tahoe, Nevada, in California. So it's Lake Tahoe, which is in Nevada and California. I'm gonna look up the size of the lake. 122,616 acres. Yeah, so it's big. I would say, yeah, that is absolutely believable, and especially my whole thing of if there are undiscovered undiscovered any little bits of okay, yeah, and it is deep. 1,645 feet max depth. Yeah, so this thing is deep. It is. I could fully believe that. I mean, honestly, even more than some other ones, just because of how much range it has. I'm only putting it up here because I've kind of run out of room. Oh yes, this next one was a very interesting. This is kind of a very specific one. Tizaruk, which is seen in Alaska, very specifically in the King and Nunavut Islands. So it is seen as okay. That one's completely different. That looks like someone's furry OC. That's so strange, because there's some that are describing it as this great sea serpent looking thing that I've got here, but then there's also ones that are very much describing it as a like a seal, like a big ass seal. It is said to this one is very, it's very old, and it seems very old, like very old and semi outdated. So it's technically an ocean monster. So it's a sea serpent. So again, it has all those things. Yeah, okay, so another, people are comparing it to a possible, the Tizaruk is popularly speculated to be a northern counterpart of the leopard seal. So it's just a much larger leopard seal. I could believe that. I could believe that, especially because, like I said, the sea is scary. It's big, it's scary. Two more. This is the Van Meter Visitor. So it's from Van Meter, Iowa. I have seen plenty of, like, actual, you know, there's plenty of different things, like dinosaurs that look like like there was a very specific dinosaur that looked like this, but the Van Meter Visitor is different in a couple different like aspects, from the fact that it has this, as you can kind of see it in this image, is not very well depicted, but it fired a bright beam of light from its like forehead. 121 years ago, a strange creature was said to have paid visit to a small town of Van Meter, Iowa. Strange events occurred on October of 1903. So it was kind of one of those one-off things, but terrorized the town residents over several nights over the course of a week. It left a terrible stench wherever it went. And even stranger, it fired. I feel like, given the period of time, it's a little bit harder to believe, but I'm gonna go with because I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm thinking Scooby-Doo villain very specifically, especially since it's only one like period of time, 1 week in 1903. So I'm very much thinking Scooby-Doo villain. Like this thing happened and it's never been reported since. I'm fully believing that this is like someone that pranked a bunch of people in 1903. Basically just terrorized a bunch of people in Iowa in 1903. The issue is, so it said 1903. The Wright brothers, like, you know, first invented the plane in 1903. But then again, you know, other people were working on it, so maybe someone made their own glider type thing and decided to use it to mess with people rather than advance the world. This one is very strange to me. So this is the Wolf Woman of Mobile, Alabama, and that is in Mobile, Alabama. So this was a, you know, old report from, let me see, Wolf Woman of Mobile. So this is like a drawing from, you know, back then. Oh, that's an interesting thing. On April 8th, 1971, the newspaper reported the phenomenon, complete with a drawing of the creature conceived by a newspaper illustrator. Listening to as many as 50 phone calls, the press register has received day and night, and approximately a week. You wonder if perhaps there isn't something out there. The depiction of it, because this is the clipping, this is the newspaper clipping from 1971, and it gives off very what is it? There's a couple of different Egyptian lore. What is it? A sphinx, like a sphinx sort of vibe. But there's something to me that screams more paranormal. That if you are a person who believes in curses, and I do to an extent, that this would have been, especially in Alabama, that's very much a, you know, voodoo heavy like area, that this may have been a woman who was cursed to look like this for doing something wrong to a witch in the area, or a voodoo woman. So it's not a cryptid that had evolved. I feel like it's I'm sorry, madam. She may have been a cursed, you know, person. Maybe some full proof that exists, but I guess, you know, you're gonna go over here with our other wolfmen. We'll do that. So this is the rest from that list that I have. But if you have any other suggestions for other cryptids or anything like that you'd like me to do, or maybe even if you want me to do just very specifically, I might switch over to doing paranormal entities next. So them, despite them, other than, you know, do cryptids than paranormal or whatever. I would like to do a little bit more of this sort of content. So if you guys have any suggestions for me, go ahead and put it down in the comments below. I do have ideas for things that I would like to do for it, though. However, we are still on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you have not yet, please hit that sub button. Otherwise, I'm all in time for this one, and I will see you in the next video.